Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. As you know, State College Police released information on their completed investigation into the South Atherton shooting. I wanted to provide some additional information and answer any questions that you might have regarding that investigation. That her and Mr. Whitmer were not in a relationship. There had not been any argument or fight at the Ramada Inn the night of the incident. In fact, she was there to ensure that he got home safely. She was the designated driver. Just prior to getting ready to leave, Mr. Whitmer went to the bathroom in the basement of the hotel. She saw him come in through the outside door. As he was passing the bar, she reports that she heard the bartender say something about a gun. She went and grabbed his coat, went up to him and said, "Come on, let's go." At that point in time, she was shot. She was shot in the side, suffered serious injuries. She saw the second shot, and at that point in time, she dialed 911 and fell to the floor. Ms. Abrino has returned home and is recovering from very serious injuries. She reports that she's had no less than 10 surgeries and procedures. She will suffer the long-term effects of this shooting for the rest of her life. She has a bullet lodged in her spine at T11. Doctors do not plan on surgery. They don't believe that they can safely remove it. She's unable to walk unassisted. She uses a leg brace, crutches. She cannot walk or stand for long periods of time. She has to alternate, and she has had loss of feeling in her lower extremities. Her recovery is ongoing, and she wants to extend her thanks to all of the support from the public, family, and friends who have reached out to her. Friends and family have set up a GoFundMe page for her. She is currently at home recovering and will be doing so for some time. With that, if you had any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Well, did they go there together? Did you meet her there? Give us some context of how they ended up there together.
Yeah, they went there together. They had something to eat at a different establishment, and they'd been there for a number of hours. And there was nothing unusual, according to Ms. Abrino. They were having what would be described by her as a normal evening.
So leading up to this, real quick, it was pre-planned, right? That they meet up there?
They actually traveled together there, and they were driving his car, and she had intended on driving him home.
Was that previous establishment Home Depot?
That is correct. Yeah, they'd been at Home Depot for some food for a short period of time and had spent the majority of the evening, as I understand it, at the Ramada.
Did they drink at both establishments?
Yes, they did.
Any word on how much he consumed at one establishment versus the other?
Well, what I can say to you with clarity is what his blood alcohol concentration is as reported by the police at the time that the autopsy was done. And as we all know, he was approximately 3 times the legal limit.
From a legal standpoint, has there been any consideration of charges pressed at either establishment as to serving a physically intoxicated person?
I know that the Liquor Control Board has been referred the information, so you'd have to direct their questions to the LCB. I can also confirm that State College Police have had contact with the Army, given that this was, he'd just recently been completed his service, honorably discharged, and we don't have any details on what, if anything, the Army is doing regarding their investigation.
So the Army's doing a separate.
I cannot confirm that. They're aware of this. It's reported that he did not serve in any combat details, and you would have to direct any inquiries to the Army in regards to that.
In talking to her, do you get any better insights, the motive, how he did this?
No, she would tell you that she saw no flags or nothing that concerned her about him. The only thing that that we know is that he was intoxicated at the time, and that he had a gun. He had a license to carry. He was legal to have a gun in the establishment, and we know that that's what we know.
In terms of background, anything that you know, clarity in terms of his background regarding his particular mental health, or had he been to see an impact specialist, or anything that jumps off the page?
None that's been reported, no. None that would explain what we have here.
Had Nicole ever indicated she was afraid of Jordan or anything like that?
No, in fact, her exact words, there were no red flags. She felt perfectly safe walking up to him and saying, "Come on, let's go home," after hearing somebody mention the fact that he had a gun.
Have there been any conversations with Whitmer family?
By the police, yes.
And is there anything you can share about those conversations?
Nothing. That you'd have to direct those questions to the State College Police. I'd prefer that to not address that at this time.
Do we know if he had a permit? Did he have a carry permit?
He had a carry permit, so he was under Pennsylvania law legal to carry that weapon.
And there's no indication the two other gentlemen who were shot, they had no interaction with him?
There are accounts of some interactions with other individuals, but no, the individuals who were shot, nothing to indicate that they were, other than they were just there. No negative interaction between them and Mr. Whitmer that I'm aware of.
To clarify, the bartender told Mr. Reno about the gun.
Well, what you'll hear, and this is not uncommon in a traumatic incident, that three different people can be in the exact same place and hear and see something slightly different. Time slows down. So it is Ms. Abrino's distinct memory that the bartender said something about the gun. The bartender, in his own statement, saw the gun and made an exclamation and saw him fumbling with it. So,
In him going to the restroom, does that have anything, did he go to the restroom to prepare perhaps for what he was going to do? Is that his exiting the scene, then re-entering the scene, have anything to do with the shooting?
that would be speculation.
Are there elements of the investigation still to be wrapped up, or is this a closed investigation?
I think it's a closed investigation from the State College Police Department's perspective, as well as for our office. You would have to direct questions on whether there are any other follow-up to other agencies.
Do we have any timeline in terms of after he shot Ms. Abrino to the Beachies? Any timeline as far as how quickly it happened after Abrino to the Beachies?
Immediately. Literally, Ms. Abrino saw the second shot, and we know that the third came very shortly thereafter. So as she was standing there being shot, she saw the second shot.
Any reason why he shot that mannequin exiting? Have they determined?
If you're looking for reason, I don't think we're going to find it. There is no good reason for any of this to have occurred. None of these individuals did anything to provoke any type of a response. It is simply a senseless killing, senseless killings.
Regarding what happened at the McCormick household, do we know anything in terms of George McCormick confronting Whitmer?
There's no one to report on what did or did not happen, other than he shot his way into the residence.
Do you know how long he was in residence before the shooting?
I can't say that with clarity, because there are no eyewitnesses to give us that type of information.
Can you confirm the other individuals in the bar? Last week, was that 2 employees and 1 other individual? Is that correct? Or is the classification of others in the bar?
Well, there were definitely 2 employees. I can confirm that, yes. And if you're talking about earlier, there were other individuals there that were there earlier, and if you're talking about at the actual time of the incident, you're accurate.
And to clarify, they either ran from the scene or hid to avoid being shot?
That's correct. Two left the scene and 1 hid.
And I'm not sure if this is a question for you necessarily, but do you know why he was discharged from Army?
It's reported that he was honorably discharged.
You said Ms. Abrino called, she had a 911 call?
She reports she actually had her phone dialed 911 and that the bartender finished the call. That's correct. So she not only was attempting to ensure he got home safely, she actually stepped in to try to bring whatever was going on. She thought she would step in and say, let's go home, and that would be the end of it. That would be her perspective.
Do you have any confirmation on the weapon that was used?
9mm, yes.
How many shots were fired? Was it just one each to begin with?
One each, yes.
Maybe reiterating this, but it's reported that they, Nicole and Whitmer entered the bar around 8:30. PJ Harrigan's. Still no report in terms of how much he consumed at that bar at that point from 8:30, approximately 8:30 to the time.
I'll leave that to others to analyze, but it is clear that that was where he was there consuming alcohol.
So he did consume alcohol at that.
There's no question about that. Yeah, that's correct.
So he had a carry permit, he had a gun, and there's no violations or state law or anything against him sitting there just drinking away.
In Pennsylvania, unlike a lot of different places, there's no regulations prohibiting guns in bars, nor are there any regulations prohibiting drinking and using guns. So there was no violation of the law at that point in time.
Is that something you'd like to see the legislature address?
I've made our representatives aware of these issues. Certainly, law enforcement does not want to deal with individuals in an intoxicated state with weapons.
How long has he been living in Better Township or Belmont?
I'm going to defer that question. And my understanding, because I'm not, so I sit here right now, I understand he's from Bellefonte and he spent most of his life here. But I would defer that question to someone else.
Clarify, where was Ms. Sabrino from? At least at the time where did she live?
She's living in the greater State College area. I'll leave it at that.
Is there any mental health component of this investigation, shooting, anything that draws attention from your office in terms of that subject?
We're not aware of any at this point in time, meaning that there being any active treatment that he was receiving or any history of that. Now, that does not mean that there isn't, but we're not aware of any. And we're not aware of any. He enlisted in the Army. He was honorably discharged. He served. So it's speculation at this point for me to even comment on that.
Is there anything at all that indicates anything in this case was premeditated at all?
All we know is what we can tell you, and there isn't not anything that any of us know that indicate premeditation.
When they went to Home Depot, did just those two?
That's correct.
And they went to Harrigan's together?
Correct.
Was there anybody else in Harrigan's that they knew?
I would say that they knew the people who worked there. I would say Nicole knew the people that worked there.
The bar patrons, did they help those that were injured then after the shooting? Were they technically first responders, or so to speak?
I believe the bartender was the first, and I know that because Nicole indicates that he took her phone, was the first to render aid to Ms. Sabrino. But in reality, there were officers on the scene within minutes, less than minutes. And so there were first responders that were there in an unprecedented time. They literally were within walking distance of the scene when the call came in.
Is there anything to indicate that P.J. Harrigan's was a preferred spot, we'll say, or Home Depot? Either one of the...
This is just two individuals who went out and had some dinner together and then went to have a few drinks at P.J. Harrigan's, from what I understand.
So what would be the best way to describe the relationship?
They were friends, as I understand it.
Do you know how long they knew each other?
I can't speak to that. I can speak to one thing, and that is that Ms. Sabrino said there were literally no red flags regarding that relationship.
Can you say why were police so close at the time? Were they conducting another investigation?
I'll tell you, I can tell you that there was another investigation, and I won't go into the details of that. Completely unrelated to this incident. It just happened to be surreptitious that they were there.
What's your tone when you speak to her?
She's honest, she's forthright, she's comfortable speaking about it. She's looking forward, and she'll tell you about how hard it is to deal with the physical issues that she's dealing with. She's making plans for her future, and beyond that, that's all I can say.
How many times have you spoken with her?
I've spoken to her twice today, once last night. Before we were going to release any information, I made sure that she was aware of that information.
Do you have an approximate distance from the crash scene where he crashed his car to the house?
I don't know. I know it's close.
Did your conversations with her sound like she was in good spirits, or what was your feeling from speaking with her and how she feeling?
All I can say is that everything that I've relayed to you, she wanted, I should say everything that I've relayed to you is something that I cleared with her, and I'm comfortable describing that. You know, she's a surviving victim of a horrible crime. She deserves her privacy, and I told her I would relay the information that I did to you, and I don't feel comfortable really relaying more than that. I think we need to respect what she's going through, give her the time and space to deal with what she needs to deal with, and if she wants to speak, then that's her right, and I'll let her do that. I will speak to what I've spoken to, and I think I probably should stop there in regards to what Ms. Abrino has to say, other than none of the victims of this crime deserved what occurred. They didn't do anything to provoke anything, and in Ms. Abrino's case, she was actually making sure somebody got home safe and stepped in, not thinking anything like this would occur, and actually put herself in harm's way.
In terms of, you touched on it a bit, in terms of prevention, as district attorney, what do you feel that anything can be done to prevent something like this happening?
Well, I think that's a conversation for a later day. I can tell you that I have and will forward the information that I have to our local representatives, and I'll leave that to the greater community to discuss whether what, if anything, should be done. That really is my role in this matter.
You said there were officers in the area. Did anyone see him leave?
Witnesses saw him leave. Officers did not.
So the officers weren't following him when he crashed the car?
No, he was not identified. He was not immediately identified, given the condition of the victims.
In the press release, it mentioned that there were varying details about what had happened. I think you may have touched on it earlier,
Sure.
but can you kind of explain why there were varying details or what those varying details were?
Well, the varying details are what somebody saw immediately before something very traumatic occurred, or what they heard. And so everyone who's in a different position sees and hears something different, and that would be what I'm referring to. So if you're the person who's coming up to hand someone the jacket, you see what you're seeing. If you're a bystander at a bar, you see that. If you're the bartender, it does tend to slow time down, and people who are involved in traumatic events see what's directly in front of them. It will vary depending on the person. So you can't expect to have 3 exact accounts of what occurred in something like this. You'll have what each one perceived, and then you have to put those things together.
It sounds like that would be more with respect to the gun, but not necessarily the fact that there was no argument or anything like that. Was everybody in agreement on that?
That there was nothing that would have provoked such an incident, yes, that's correct.
Is there anything,
As the State College Police have indicated, there's no evidence to suggest that there was. So to say that there is, and if you take a look at the State College media release, there is no evidence to suggest that.
And I think from the initial press conference there was video, but I forget the reason behind that. So was any video reviewed?
There is no video of the incident. There was video captured after the incident, but that doesn't shed any light on this.
in terms of anything that was said, is there anything from all the different witness accounts, anything that was said at the time, either shouted or just said, that holds up? Verbally said.
Well, I think all the witnesses agree that they saw a gun. And that was, and what was exactly said, similar, not exact, and that, and that was at the point when Ms. Abrino approached and attempted to leave and was shot.
So was she in close proximity to him when she was shot?
She was in literally handing him a coat, very close proximity.
Were the other two victims en route to the door for him to be leaving?
I'll say that they were at the bar, and the second, police believe, and witnesses account that Dean Beachy was the second person shot, and he would have been shot immediately after Ms. Abrino. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and that's all I have for today.